This week I looked at thousands of polls, and normally I say, hey, it's good news for one side and bad news for the other. But in this particular case, we're talking about bad news for both sides. This voter group wants to sweep both parties out of power in Washington, D.C. But who is the news worse for? Well, we're going to start off by talking about one side it may be bad for, or it is bad for, and that is the Republican Party. Bad news for Republicans. And we are talking about white non-college voters. This is Trump's base. But look at Trump's net favorability rating. You know, you go back to November of 2024 when he was reelected to a second term. Look at this. He was 25 points above water. Now look at this. He's at minus 6 points down in the cornfields of Iowa. I feel like sweeping it away here with my hoe. My goodness gracious. Minus 6 points. Then you compare that to where he was at this point in term number one. Look at this. He was at plus 20 points. So we're talking about a massive decline here. We're talking about a decline of over 30 points from November of 2024 and a 26-point decline from where he was basically at this point in term number one. Now, what is causing this? Because we're talking about the group here, but it's even more bonkers what is causing this and what's going on with Democrats. Take a look at this. Okay, why is this so important? Well, it's so important because non-college whites make up the plurality of voters nationwide, 37%. That is why we're talking about this group. Compare that to college whites who are, frankly, overrepresented in the media, if we're just being perfectly honest with each other, or black voters, or Latino voters. They each make up 11%. Non-college whites make up more than, get this, more than a third of the electorate, nearly, get this, 4 in 10, 2 in 5. And that is why the drops that Trump is seeing with these groups could be so devastating to the Republican Party. Because look at these numbers. I mean, Trump economy net approval rating, white non-college voters. At this point in term number one, he was 29 points in the positive. Yes, on the good side of the ledger. He was on the good side of the ledger. But look at this now. This is what is causing this decline. We're talking about, what is this, a dramatic drop of what, 53 points? 53 points down to minus 24 points. Oh my goodness gracious. And what is causing this drop in the economy? What was the thing that got Trump elected to a second term in the first place? It's inflation. It's inflation. I mean, you rarely ever see drops like this. Trump's net approval rating on inflation among white non-college voters, look at this, was plus 22 points at the beginning of Trump's second term. It's minus 38? I was so surprised by this number. I actually had my producer Gordon go back and check this. I thought that this was a mistake. I thought that this was an error because you never see drops. What is this? This is a 60-point drop. This is a 60-point drop in a little bit less than a year and a half. A nearly 60-point drop. Now Trump is 38 points in the red in a group that is part of his own voter base. Okay. So this is the bad news for Republicans, right? But remember, I'm talking about sweeping out both parties. I'm talking about sweeping out both parties. And what's the bad news for Democrats? Because the bottom line is this. Both parties are seen as giant turkeys. They're seen as giant turkeys by white non-college voters. Boy, that was a loud sound, wasn't it? That's a hoe falling to the ground. How about the net favorability rating in the Democratic Party? Look at this. Look at this long-term trend. In 2012, it was minus 2 points. Look at where it was in a CBS News poll that came out within the last month. The Democratic Party's net favorability with non-college white voters, minus 36 points. So the short-term trend, not necessarily good for Republicans and Donald Trump, but the long-term trends, really, really bad for the Democratic Party. Really, really bad. We're talking about, what is this? This is a 34-point drop over the last 14 years. And even if Donald Trump is struggling, remember, it's which side is losing more. When you match up Democrats and Republicans on the economy, what do we see? Do we see, despite the fact that Trump's economic net approval rating is negative, that all of a sudden Democrats are trusted more? They are not trusted more. Look at this. Party that, well, isn't that interesting? Sometimes you get the slide cut off a little bit here, but there we go. We'll put that P right there. Party white non-college trust more on the economy. Look at this. It's Republicans, plus 16 points. Republicans are still trusted more on the economy. And this gets back to what I'm saying here. What is this? What is this? Hold on. It's not a, give me this. It's not a question mark. It's an exclamation point. It's an exclamation point from Kate, my producer. Everyone sucks. Everyone sucks. Everybody sucks. That's what's going on here. Everybody sucks. And you can see this right here. Look at the inflation. Look at the inflation. Which party do white non-college voters trust more in inflation? Despite Trump's absolutely devastating decline, going down to what was that, a 60-point switcheroo? On inflation, the Republican Party is still trusted more by 16 points. So even if Trump isn't liked, it's not all of a sudden like the Democrats are all of a sudden trusted on this. And honestly, this is all just making me quite thirsty. It's a Diet Pepsi this week. So, this begs the question, who's in worse shape because of this? Who is the news worse for? Is it the donkeys or is it the elephants? Is it the Democrats or is it the Republicans? Well, why we care so much about this isn't just that the voting group white non-college voters make up is larger than any other group. It's that they are disproportionately large in the Midwestern United States. Region by white non-college share. Look at this. 48% in the Midwest. 48% in the Midwest. There we go. My hand's a little wet from the Diet Pepsi. 48% in the Midwest. That is more than any other region. And this, of course, has been so devastating to the Democrats. You know, we talk about Michigan. We talk about Wisconsin. We talk about Pennsylvania. That big, great blue wall where Donald Trump was able to penetrate in 2016. But he is not the only one who has been able to penetrate, right? This is terrible news for Democrats. Again, everyone sucks. Everyone sucks. And he's not the only one. I mean, just here's the thing. Talk about Senate races. You want to talk about bad news for Democrats? Midwestern Senate seats. The last time the Democrats picked up a Midwestern Senate seat was all the way back in 2016. It was Tammy Duckworth in Illinois. And this 10-year stretch that we're talking about right now is the longest such stretch in which no Democrat has picked up a Senate seat in the Midwest dating back over 100 years since, if my producer Gordon is right, since, in fact, the popular vote became the way in which we elected United States senators. Kate, show me you're giving me a little time cue here, but I'm not exactly, just show me the clock. Don't show me the hands. Show me the clocks here. So what we're talking about here is a very long stretch of time, but this year there's bad news for Republicans here. This is what I'm talking about. Who is the news worse for? Who is the news worse for? Look at this, in the Iowa races. Again, in Iowa, Donald Trump won Iowa by 13 points. But look what's going on in the Iowa Senate race. Josh Turek, the Democrat, is actually up by a point. You can't get more Midwest. You can't get more Midwest than Iowa. You just simply put can't. But it's not just Iowa, it's also Ohio. It's also Ohio. Look at Ohio. Okay, Ohio races. Donald Trump won in Ohio by 11 points. Sherrod Brown, in an average of polls, is up by 1, 2, 3 points. He's up by 3 points. So you say, okay, this is great. This is great news for Democrats, right? This is great news for Democrats. But you know what? It might not be. Because, again, who's the news worse for? Well, in Midwestern polling, if you go back to the last midterm, on average, the polls overestimated Democrats by 3 points, according to Sean Trende, my dear friend over at Real Clear Politics. By 3 points. You start adding that on to Ohio and Iowa, and all of a sudden those Democratic leads go, bye-bye, adios, see you later. Indeed, when we look nationally, despite all of that talk, oh, you know, Donald Trump is unpopular, blah, 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 blah. Look at the generic congressional ballot. Look at this. The choice for Congress among white non-college voters, and the national polling has tended to be more accurate than the state polling. Well, in October of 2024, the Republicans, they were up by 26 points. Look at where we are now. The Republicans are also up by 26 points. So you might say to yourself, okay, the news is worse for Democrats. But you know what? I always like a little bit. I always like a little bit of a twist. I like a little bit of a twist. And it turns out maybe the white working class just wants to clean themselves of everyone. Because it may not be about who they want. It may be that they just dislike both parties enough that they won't show up to vote anyway. And this may be the whole entire game. Extremely motivated to vote in the election, the shift from 2024 to 2026. Look at this. Those who say they're extremely motivated among the white non-college voters, they're 15 points less likely to say that. That is a far more negative number than we see among all others at -9 points. So maybe these white non-college voters won't be voting for Democrats, but that may still be a win for Democrats because they're not going to be voting for Republicans either. As I said, in their mind, everyone sucks. Everyone sucks. And when you put it all together, if in fact that happens in the Midwest and Democrats are able to hold on to Michigan, are able to flip Ohio, are able to flip Iowa, and then they win where they're also leading in the polls, even if nominally, North Carolina, Texas, Maine. Well, where does that get you? That gets you to a Democratic majority of 52 seats. So as I said, everyone sucks. The white non-college voters may not like either party at this point, may not like Trump, may not like the Democrats, but who's the news worse for? It's probably worse for Donald Trump and the Republicans, because when you're losing amongst your own base or losing support, that's never a good sign. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me if you like what you saw, and tell me what you might want us to cover next time around.